so that you can let it go. And rape is one of the things that you really don't ever, but learning how to stick it in the back of a box and close the door and seal it so that it just stays there. It doesn't come out every day, morning, night, and torture you and all those kind of things. Please, I went through it. I knew all about it when I was little. And being beat and the sexual abuse and things like that. And nobody listens. Sadly, it's no different today. It's not like man suddenly cares what happens to a girl. I mean, they say they do, and here and there somebody gets convicted with a really serious time sentence. Most do not. So I want to talk about you and your experiences. Were you ever abused? Think about it. Don't say no. Think about it. Abuse is simple in some ways. You might not even perceive it as abuse. Your mother said you're ignorant or you're stupid. If she said that 10 times to you when you were a child, it affected the way you think about yourself. Anything you hear when you're little becomes part of the little wrinkles you start putting in your brain as memory. Oh, somebody brought up about Bill Cosby laughing. Well, yeah, that was a sad thing. His wife, his mother was laughing too. But guess what? Now he's in handcuffs. So we'll get into that. I do want to talk about that, but we'll get there. So when we go through memories and a parent's giving a child bad memories to stick in their little brain, it's a horrible thing. I could tell you every word, negative word my father said, my mother said, and all those kind of things all my life. I don't know if it's good or bad. Photographic memory of my whole life, is that a good thing? I don't know. Because just everything relates to things that happened and that were part of my life. Do I let it stop me from being who I am? No. Am I afraid to talk about it? Definitely not. How is anybody else going to learn anything if I don't say what I went through and how I learned how to get over it, or get through it, or deal with it? Which everybody has to do. Not that it's going to make everything rosy, because you got over it now I'm going to suddenly love men. No. Any man. And in the Bible it says, honor thy mother and father. Respect them. Okay? You only get respect from being respectful. Meaning, if you're a child, they have to show you respect. If they don't, you don't have to give them respect back, or you shouldn't. It's not like you didn't say, bring me into this world. They forced you to come into this world. So, at that point, we have to be reasonable to who we are always. Look into ourselves and find our higher awareness, what we truly are. Because the mind will say, you're not that, you're not this, you're that. We'll get into about Jesus and Mary Magdalene. But I don't talk about religion, even though you might sound that way. I talk about people and who they really were. Not Bible stories or religious stories, because they're fictional in many ways. And when I say that, I was there. I lived it. I saw it. I watched loving people help kill the most spiritual person in the world at that time. How's that possible? I couldn't deal with it. You say deal with something? Deal with that. Deal with seeing that. I mean, when you say, well, past lives are awareness that you attained. Being able to tap into them relates to the things you're going through now. And if you understand, a lot of things you're holding on to were from past lives even. You've been hit or killed different ways in a past life, and it still bothers you. I got things that I'm still can't deal with. And then the most funniest one is anything slimy. If I touch something slimy, it drives me crazy. So we each have things of how we died, but it affects us in this lifetime. Because soul remembers everything. But it's the mind that can't perceive it or twist it into a place. I mean, it twists it into a place where it can't be understood in this reality. Luckily, it's starting to change for soul. When a child is born now, and you start getting a little aware, they perceive their past lives and things like that, which is the starting point of becoming aware. So, now, karma is something you pay, no matter it's this lifetime or the next. So, is what you get your karma. It is, in many ways. If the world blew up, it's the world's karma that we're dealing with. If your house gets blown up, it's your karma, period. You have a car accident, it's your car, it's your karma, period. You got to pay it back. You got to work through it. And you do if you want to get to a higher level spiritually. There's multiple ways. We'll talk about that a little bit down the road. I don't want to get into that because that's technique and exercises and working in a really hard level. Even understanding what they are, learning how to understand what they are, or what they really are. You can't go to psych and tell me all my things that I have to pay for. Well, you're going to pay for this, that, and the other thing. They're not going to know. They're going to tell you a lot of things. They can tell you anything you want, and you can't prove it. If you can't find it yourself, it's not worth the beans that it's put into to make you eat. So you have a lot of work to do as a person in this world. We all do. Man has never respected woman all through history, except Atlantis. Now, you say, well, no. Again, there was no word love ever really created back that time frame. I mean, sex and sex energy was the thing that they talked about, especially men. And it became a woman's thing as well, Kundalini energy, and can't even think of the P word, but dealing with sexual energy. All right? Well, that's one thing. But to go against a particular race, meaning now female, opposite sex, is pretty sad. So, where do you want to move into? A spot that you can be honest to yourself. Look in the mirror. Can you see your face in that mirror? Can you look into your own eyes? Can you say who you are to yourself? What am I? Who am I? Can you even answer that to yourself? You're not telling nobody outside of yourself, just yourself. Can you? Are you willing to do it? I mean, just knowing who you are. If you look into your eyes in a mirror, and there's a lot of different techniques for that, but if you do, and you don't blink too much, you're going to see changes instantly. Within a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But you have to really stop from blinking. Blinking, like, your mind shuts down and opens. It's like a shut off and turn on. Like when you sneeze, you're actually dead for a split second and things like that. I mean, all these weird kind of things where mind and soul separate. So, understanding who you are. I'm a victim. Well, we're all victims. We're all put in hell for a reason. So, do we want to dwell on it? Now, I just heard a song by Bob Dylan yesterday. 2 songs in a row. I had my cell phone on. Heaven's Gate, where he's talking about heaven, waiting to get into the gates of heaven. And the end of the song was, we're all preparing and understanding dying, where nobody's preparing and trying to understand living. Well, we are living. We have to understand living, or at least try to, and make it the best we can. This way we can show that we took one step forward. Not many, but at least a step forward, rather than promoting sickness, disease, and destruction of the planet and the sky and the sun and everything else around it. The ozone layer. The ozone layer dies, we all die. And it's so close to being gone. They used to talk about that all the time. Well, the ozone layer used to be a mile long. Now it's about a foot wide. And you know, over Alaska, there's a giant hole, the biggest hole in the world. I mean, the children that have to go to school are supposed to wear long-sleeve shirts so they don't get burnt and things like that. It's bad. And with the things that are happening with fires, I don't want to give you a history on weather, but fire is one of the most detrimental things that happen to the ozone. Because when that ash and clouds go up into the sky, it blocks the ozone from doing what it's supposed to do, which changes the weather. So when the government does things, and so does mankind. I mean, there's natural fires created by lightning hitting a tree, but there's also fires by a person throwing a cigarette into a forest. I mean, but those fires that were burning from how many months out of control destroyed part of the ozone. And I can tell you that directly. And that is going to change the weather next year, not this year. And what we get today is what's happening from 2 years ago, the fires that they had. But these are the worst fires we ever had. Now you're going to see the worst storms we ever had because of that. And when there's giant earthquakes, which are going off rapidly, incredibly, all around the Ring of Fire in super high volume numbers, it's shaking the planet, which means it is shifting the North Pole and the magnetic fields of the planet. So yeah, storms come in and they get pulled into these waves of energy and end up doing different things. It's a combination of a lot of things, not just man, not just nature. It's the combination of man, nature, and what spirit feels is right. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we have to understand to even understand what we deal with in our normal life. Never mind the things outside of it. All right, now, when I said no man respects women in any tribe except the Native American tribe. I can't say about Aborigine tribes and things like that. I don't know. I wasn't with them. I didn't live with them. But inside the United States, I lived on a reservation for a while. I know Native people and things like that. Women are respected. In the time of war, the women had to make the final decision if they went to war or not. Now, I don't get into Native history either today, but because of Sitting Bull having a vision, and he was considered the most psychic, spiritual medicine man that lived in that time frame, said, we have to surrender. And he told Crazy Horse and Geronimo to turn themselves in. The most ignorant, dumb thing they ever did. Because when they went to the jail, Crazy Horse was killed 2 weeks later inside jail, and Geronimo was a puppet for the cavalry. They rode across the United States with having people taking pictures of him as a prisoner and slave. When they let him go, he finally was let go. I think it was roughly about 15 years later. Fell off his horse, drowned, and died. So the greatest warrior was turned into the biggest, I don't know, to what man perceived of him, took away, stripped him of who he was as a man. Because, you know, when we fight Russia, when we fight Germany, when we fight China, when we fight any country, who's the good man? Well, if whoever on the side you're on, you're going to consider the good side. Killing is never right or just, ever. You can't say it's right. Even when you kill a prisoner, it's not right. Nobody has the right to kill. And to me, killing of a person is different than abusing and raping a person. Now, and I'm serious about that, and I hope you're listening, because in a rape situation, male or female, more so women, it's something that will be with you. It takes part of you away, and you have to deal with it the rest of your life. Murder, you die, and you're gone, and you don't have to deal with anything anymore. And it's kind of like a good thing in one way. Hopefully your karma was pretty patched up and cleaned out and all that. I mean, if you got a lot of karma and you get killed, obviously you're just going to come back and start over. But if your karma is clean, and it could be the way Spirit's going to let you leave. I mean, is there a right way to leave? Sure, most people say I want to die in my sleep. I don't. I think that's the most cowardly way to die. And second to that, if you die in your sleep, you're never going to know that you died. And you'll never know that you woke up. So, yeah, it's kind of like a void, stepping into it and then being in that. Oh, I'm in this void, but I don't know how I got here, when I got here, or when I'm going to leave. That's just my viewpoint, because I had 5 death experiences. I know what death is like, what it is to cross over, how many times, and where I went, and things like that. And it's much different than, again, 90% of the people talking about it. I challenge everybody all the time. I'm a rebel. Truth is all that matters, and I believe what Dorothy Atlantean said in the Emerald Tablets. The truth will destroy the lies. Always. In the end. Just doesn't instantly turn them into the truth. I mean, that would be great, but it'll destroy the lies in time, period. So as we move forward in this step we're trying to take, I suggest you tell every person you know to listen to this show. It's recorded. It'll be available right after the show even, 10 minutes, half an hour later. And people should listen to it. And then anybody that wants to talk to me directly, my email is hawksblood1@aol.com.